being in this part of the world, being in Europe, being a part of the world which in fact have been the world's leader and in growth and everything else for decades, for centuries, we're now standing in a new situation where in fact what we call the BRIC countries in Denmark, countries like India, China, Asia in general, Brazil, and are showing the growth and are showing where the economic world will be in the future. Then there's only one possibility, because the structure of the European society is there's two problems with that structure. First one, we're getting too old. The population in Europe is getting too old. We're not having enough children, which means that the general level of people is getting elderly and elderly, which means again that less and less people are working. That's in fact what they're discussing here in Denmark at the moment. That's one problem. We are getting less people to do the work. The second thing is compared to those new BRIC countries, the time people work in Europe is much less. You know, Denmark's 37 hours a week, and I think if you go to South Korea, to China, it would be lovely to say if I could just work 50 hours a week or something like that, which means again that they're perhaps working 25–30% more when they're working. And then I've been for many years ago, 50 years ago, I was in Indonesia, and my wife and I were out there for a Danish company, just a short while, 2 months, for a Danish company making paint for ships. And the problem with the European was that the Indonesian people, local people, thought they had a vacation all the time. You know, we had, at that time, we had 5 weeks in Denmark, I guess, and we had those bank holidays and Easter holidays. And in Indonesia, they had a week a year, and which means that they thought that the management team was making a holiday all the time. So we are working less in Europe compared to those new countries. And third, we are getting paid too much compared. Now, I'm not saying that people are getting too much in salary in Denmark, but compared to the BRIC countries, our salaries is too high. Which means again that we have to do something else. Which means again that we have to understand that if we shall have this growth and still have this level of living in Europe and in Denmark, we have to do something else. We have to be more creative. We have to innovate. And I think when you're doing a program with design and business, you're comparing two of those very important skills that I find we have to be better to, which means that we have to think design in what we're doing. I know that it's easy to duplicate to do in China. That if we have a good design here in Denmark, chairs or everything, or fashion, and then it'll be a month after it'll be in China or India, because they have the skills as well. But in the world there are some people who always will be ready to pay for the original and not for the copy, which means that we have to do more originals, as I see it. And I think you're getting a knowledge about how to design and how to think that, and how to take innovation. The next thing, and that's another thing where I perhaps not a totally agree, not my personal opinion. I think people are saying all the time that in Denmark we have been able to create and think. I think the reason why Denmark is still an independent nation, remember, we're just, if you look at the map, we're just a small part north of Germany. And we've been a small country, but we have been able to succeed as an independent nation for, yes, thousands of years. And we're still doing it. And the reason why, I think, is because we're good traders. I think one of the best. We had to understand two things. IKEA is situated in Copenhagen, which they had an advantage compared to us. We can't do anything about that. Even though I could get a lot of arguments about saying that Sønderborg is a very nice day and you have all the things. If you're young and even which part of the world you come from, it's in Denmark in particular, or in the rest of Europe or whatever, then Copenhagen sounds a bit more fancy than Sønderborg. I have to admit that. I can't do anything about that. Teco has been very, very good at making a brand about this for decades. And Teco's advantage compared to us is, first of all, they are situated in a place where the fashion was, it was there the fashion started in Denmark. They had this historical link to the fashion industry, because Teco was started when there was a big fashion industry in that area. We also had, in fact, a good fashion industry in Sønderborg, but it was never as big as it was in Herning. Secondly, Teco is only doing one thing, and this is this subject. It's the area. It's design, fashion, and things like that. The academy here is a much broader academy, which means that you can go outside, you can see the marketing students, you can see the production students, and you can see the datamaticians, which means that we can't be like Teco. So we can't do it as Kia, we can't do it as Teco. What we can do then instead, and which we're trying to do, and that's the reason why we started this program in the first place, we can say that, and that's something to do with how we want to teach in the academy. The first thing we can do is, how do we do the teaching? How do we give you the skills we have? Look at this area. You're about 25 people or something like that. We're doing the classroom teaching. I think it's a huge advantage that we have to tell people more. We're not doing big lessons with 50 or 75 people. I think this kind of pedagogical thing, how do you say pedagogical in English? It's okay. Yes, I couldn't remember. The way we're teaching is one thing. We have to be better to tell the world that you're going in a classroom, we're going to groups. You know the teachers. You have this interaction between the teachers every day. Secondly, that's one thing. Secondly, you have to say that we are not going to be 100 on this PBA program. We're going to be, I could use a bit more because there's something about money and this, but we're about 20-25 people. That's fine, because the next thing is that we have to say we can create the relevant places in the companies when you're going out to do, what do you call practice? Internship, right? When you're doing internship. I think that's the next thing that we have to say. We have to do relevant internships for this. So I think it's very important to say that we are creating so many of you, we're doing so many bachelors here, that there's a real possibility that you can get relevant jobs afterwards. And then, how to sell this in the big point, how can I get this? Well, you have to say you're close to the teachers. You have this, the way we're doing the pedagogical thing. I think we have also could be better to do the international stuff. I think we could be interested to doing more international students from different countries. I know that there's Australian students here. I know there's from Germany and everything. I think if you could have this environment, where this global environment, I could say, it would be a great possibility. I don't think there's things that matter of that clear, because they have 300 people who want to go every year to be finished. So if they come from Copenhagen or Næstved or whatever, that's okay for them. But I think we have to find students from all over the world. So that could be the third part. Because I think it's something about getting the idea and getting it started, because it was in fact Anna and her colleagues who started the idea, saying that we could use this bachelor program as a top up to the design, to the fashion design. And the reason why is that this program has started, I guess it's Kia and Teco who have started it. Teco, that's the first one, which means that this program is started as a top-up bachelor for the design, the fashion design program. So that's why we started in Sønderborg. But in fact, you could, with the subjects in it and another thing, we could have started at Esbjerg, because in Esbjerg we have a lot of students in multimedia design. And they're in fact arguing with us, why can't you start this program in Esbjerg as well? Because they find this a more relevant program for their top-up compared to, we have a program in web development in Esbjerg. I can see there's somebody knowing what I'm saying. So we could have started it at Esbjerg, but we found it, when we started it, most natural to start it here. And I can't say would we have more students. We have started it in Esbjerg. I could ask you a question. If you were doing your fashion design program finished here in July or June, would you have moved to Esbjerg to have the fashion, this program?
Yeah, I'm happy that it's here.
Yeah, someone, yes, then that's a problem, because that's another huge thing about not a problem, but just a big thing, because when you have an academy, which it's two locations, but the problem is there's 170 kilometers between the two locations, which means that if I have been in Copenhagen, then here, you know, they have a lot of locations, but there will be perhaps 5 kilometers or 7 kilometers. There will be no problem of saying that you have to go, instead of going to Hellerup, you have to go inside to Nørrebro or something like that. There's no problem. You could live in the same place. You could just have to take another bus or whatever. But here, you can't say, well, no, it's too bad it's not Esbjerg. You have to go to Sønderborg. I'm quite sure that there's lots more of your friends. If they have been in Esbjerg, there have been more.
Sure.
And on the other hand, some of you perhaps would have moved to Esbjerg. But a lot of you would have done something else, and had said, okay, should I go to Henrik instead, or should I go to Copenhagen? Because that's a possibility. So that's a simple answer for that. Just in general, this academy's structure in Denmark is quite new. We're only 3 years old. I think Anna used to know, and said we were part of the colleges, the business colleges or the technical colleges until 3 years ago, and then we got independent by a new law in Denmark. And it is so that we started in October 2008, and we have until 2013, then there will be a big evaluation about the academies. What will then have the academies delivered what the politicians want? And the first thing that we had to deliver, that was growth, being more people getting through the educations. More people in and more people through. I think we can say already that we've been able to do that, because I think we've had a growth in the number of new students every year has been going up. Second thing, the new thing was that we could have this bachelor level. That's quite new. It's not only new here, it's also new in Esbjerg. It's been in Esbjerg for 2 years, and that's again the new law that made that possibility. And of course, if you ask universities, something like that, we're not good enough. Oh, they're much better. We can't do that. So there is, of course, people who say that they want to have this level, and in fact we have still the law is still made in a way that means that it could be that in 2015. But it seems a long way too. But it's only 4 years that what we call university colleges would have to take over these bachelor programs. We're doing a lot of work at the moment to keep those bachelor programs.